Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be giving a little bit of a box office update for Ghostbusters Afterlife, which finally has posted its official Friday numbers. This would include its Thursday premiere numbers, and right now it's at $16.5 million and is projected to make around $40.5 million, which is above what the Sony projections were. However, it is definitely not nearly as strong as I was hoping and thinking that it would be. So as I mentioned in a previous video, if this film did not overperform like I thought it would, just because of this general sense and feeling of excitement that I got and that I was seeing a lot of other fans of the franchise and fans of the film have after coming out of this film, then obviously tomorrow for the official box office update, I will be more than willing to eat some crow. However, we do, of course, have a little bit of light ahead of us, seeing that they are positioning this film just in time for the Thanksgiving season, and Sony is expecting this film to do very well amongst families on Thanksgiving and throughout the entire week of Thanksgiving. So obviously there's going to be schools that are going to be out either the entire week or at least half the week, so that's going to play a factor in it to some extent, and so we'll, of course, be following that as the week progresses, as well as covering other movie news and other box office data and numbers, including giving updates on Eternals tomorrow, and of course, what the movie that does not seem to die, which is, of course, James Bond, No Time to Die. Before going any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button, and smash the rumble button. It really does help out a lot. And also make sure that you're subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife is now at $16.5 million in its domestic opening, and this is just the Friday numbers, including the Thursday premiere numbers, and so therefore, domestically, the film is being projected to make around $40.5 million. Now, this is, of course, just based on what the film has made so far, where that is tracking and trending above what the previous predictions had been, and then basically doing some forward thinking based on those numbers. So essentially, okay, here are our early predictions and projections for what we thought the film was going to do. Here's how far ahead they are tracking. If the film continues to work in this way and continues to follow certain tracks of other films to come out recently, then we can expect this kind of result. And so if the film does better than that, better than even their expectations originally, then this number could obviously be a little bit higher. And of course, the only way that that's going to happen is if you go to the theater to go see this film. And as I've mentioned in my review, both my shorts review and also my full-fledged review and discussion of the film, this is a film worth seeing and worth seeing in theaters, especially if you are a fan of the official franchise and have been waiting a long time for a Ghostbusters 3 or something at least close to the closest thing to a Ghostbusters 3. This is really the film then for you, without going into too many spoilers into exactly how they're able to do that and address it. But I do want to point out again, the $40.5 million opening is right now the projection, so it could come in around this number, but if the Saturday number does better, and that's the thing, is that this film is apparently tracking very well amongst families. That has made up a big crux of the audience. It's doing very well in the early morning screenings, and so if that continues, and if that is a strong performer both today and tomorrow, that could have an indication then that the film could actually project better than or over than the 40.5. But again, that's only assuming that that actually happens. Now, what I do find interesting and something that is a bit sad, at least for me and for anyone else who has seen these films and has seen both of these films, right now the film is tracking underneath where Ghostbusters 2016 was in its opening release, and Ghostbusters Afterlife is available in more screens and more theaters, and so obviously that is not a very good sign. However, the big difference, of course, is that this film is doing very well amongst the audiences that go to see it, whereas Ghostbusters 2016 got eviscerated by many audiences and fell off a cliff very, very quickly. So we could see this film get an afterlife or get a second life at the very least this coming week, especially with the Thanksgiving numbers coming in. The other big reason why this film has a much better chance and a higher chance of success just because of box office numbers and the fact that the production budget for Ghostbusters Afterlife was only $75 million, and they were able to do quite a lot with that $75 million, whereas the Ghostbusters 2016 was $152 million, so twice the amount. So these are numbers adjusted for inflation as well. So this film, 2016's Ghostbusters, cost twice the amount of this one, which just goes to show you how much damage this did to the franchise. They were willing to put $150 million behind the original film, whereas with this one, they were only willing to put $75 million in front of the project. So I think that kind of shows you the harm that this film had on the franchise as a whole. And so one can absolutely ask the question of, did that damage hold over into this film for people maybe saying, I don't know, the last time they tried it, it didn't work out very well. Maybe I'm not going to give this one a shot. So hopefully the good word of mouth that has been going around is able to convince some people to go. Obviously, we're going to expect this film to be a little bit bigger by the end of its run. So we'll have to, of course, wait and see what the first 2 weeks look like before I can make any actual projections on what the film will likely make. This film also not likely going to make a lot internationally, just as the Ghostbusters 2016 film did not make a lot internationally. My only real hope is that the film at least makes more money than the Ghostbusters from 2016 did in its total, at the very least in its total. But as you can see, it made $16.5 million on its first Friday, whereas Ghostbusters 2016 made, just for inflation, $18.1 million. So as you can see, it made quite a bit, not too much more percentage-wise, but still enough for there to be a difference there. So maybe Ghostbusters Afterlife will be able to make up the lost ground on its Saturday and Sunday, especially since it is doing a lot stronger and it is getting a lot of strong reviews. Maybe that will drive more than what they expect to go see this film today and tomorrow. That's the only thing that really can, bring the film to the point of it beating the $48.7 million that the original film, the 2016 film, which really has nothing to do with the franchise whatsoever. It's an abomination as far as films are concerned, but maybe this is going to be enough to be able to push it over the edge. It's at $40.5 million, which is already above where the industry projections, or at the very least what the Sony projections were. We already know that Box Office Pro was projecting this film to make around $40 to $60 million in its opening weekend, so it is still very much possible. Let's go ahead and actually head over to Box Office Pro to see if they have done any updates. So the Friday update was just about the $4.5 million that it had made so far as to what it had made for the Thursday preview. It then went on to say that the 2016 Ghostbusters made $46 million. As I said, when you adjust that for inflation, it is closer to the $48.7 million as it was back in 2016. So they've not updated their projections yet based on these numbers. So again, originally though, their opening weekend range for the film was between 35 and 55. So if it does come in around 40.5, it will be within that range. My hope is that it does better amongst the younger audiences today and tomorrow. It does really well amongst families during those matinees. Those matinee numbers do very well. And if it's able to do that, then it's going to be able to punch up just a little bit more. And for me, I will be happy if this film, at the very least in its opening weekend, is able to surpass that of the Ghostbusters from 2016. That would be pretty awesome. But at the very least, we also know that the numbers in its second week, or really its first full week in release, is going to be likely a lot higher than Ghostbusters 2016, merely for the fact that it's going to have Thanksgiving going for it, right? So for Ghostbusters 2016, we had a $5-6 million, $3 million for its first Monday through Thursday. And then in its second weekend, it made 6, 9, and 6 once again. And so we saw, again, a pretty big drop-off. My hope is that we see a small drop-off, and in fact, we see some pretty big gains being made over this week, and that could get it to the point where it is ahead of the 2016 Ghostbusters. But again, we'll have to wait and see when those numbers actually come in. But I did want to give a box office update on that right now the film is tracking ahead of where Sony had thought the film was going to be. It's falling right around where Box Office Pro was projecting that this film was going to be, and industry experts are saying that the film is going to probably fall somewhere around $40.5 million based on the current tracking, based on what it's made in its Friday and how far ahead of the tracking it is in their early estimates. So we'll wait and see exactly how far ahead the Saturday is, and that, of course, will lead to our the final projections from the so-called box office experts that we will get tomorrow around 1 p.m. or so, depending on where you are in the world. And so that will give us an idea of exactly how well or not well this film did. But overall, I think that this film has a pretty good chance of breaking even at the very least because of a much smaller budget. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what this film is going to make. And obviously, I'll be paying very close attention to that second weekend drop-off and how much it makes over this next week. So anyway, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that Ghostbusters Afterlife will be able to do even better than these new updated projections? Again, it's doing well ahead of the $30 million that they were expecting, that Sony was expecting this film to make, and so that's already a good sign right there. Could we see a strong enough showing on a Saturday and Sunday, especially from families, as they have pointed out in all of these articles, that it is doing very well from especially the family section, right? It's doing very well in the matinee shows versus the evening shows, which seems to indicate a younger or at least a family-based audience. So let me know your thoughts about this and anything else I mentioned in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, smash that rumble, light up that fire. It really does mean a lot. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my November Patreon, Subscribe Star, and Locals members. Starting first off with Patreon, Andrew Hoyle, animation commentator, Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Dolores Ed, Dion, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Inflamed Wood, Jacob the Juice, JC, Jeffrey Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange at Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Priscilla Hall, Rosetta Ullen, Stan Andrian, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B, the Empress of the Universe. And a shout out to my Subscribe Star members, UAB, Mad Dog, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stan 4, John B, Perpetual Punster, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J, Alex McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss / the new number 2, and J Rod, the Beer Guru, and of course, ZK Man. Thank you very much for supporting me over there. And to my 3 supporters over on locals.com, Kara Tharp, Bifford a Hobbit, and Robert Barnes. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and every video I do on the channel, check out that top link in the description below to find out how to sign up to the various levels that exist, including the most basic level where you get a shout out, the secondary level, the Army of Asgard, where you get that, plus access to a giveaways exclusive server where I give away things like 4Ks and Blu-rays and digital codes. All kinds of stuff, a lot of fun. You then also have the Keeper of the Bifrost level where you get all that stuff, plus access to an exclusive podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. You get to ask us questions, and you get also access to that and the entire library of podcast episodes that we have done. And then there is, of course, the Chosen of Valhalla level, where not only do you get all of that, but also in your first month, you get a t-shirt of your choice and sent to you anywhere in the world. Of course, just let me know your size and the color option that you want. It'll be sent to you that first month. And also, you get to be featured on the once a month Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we have a ton of fun talking about movies and projects and all kinds of stuff. Pretty much anything that the Chosen wants to talk about is on the table. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, check out that top link. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.